Okay.
Okay, so Grace, I will go straight to the question that I always start with at the beginning. And the reason I ask it is because very many people on the spaces just want to know whether you are authentic, whether you're real, and so they can relate. So this is when I ask, who is Grace Munyirwa? How did we get here? Who is this guy? Is he for real, or does he have 11 fingers, 13 toes from outer space? Who is Grace?
Okay. Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you for creating this space. Grace is a businessman, always loved business, and really, short of saying, is a hustler. I've tried a couple.
You admit you have planned. We move because there's no point.
Yes, I am. Because I've put my finger on so many businesses. Some have worked, some have not worked. I've limped on by and large. Sometimes really full of my doubts and unsure of the next step. But you get hit, come back home, cry a bit, mourn, lick your fingers, then go back home and go back to work. Yeah.
Just like that?
Just like that, I would say. I've been in business, pharmacy business for about 21 years. But before that...
That's a while, huh?
Yeah, that's a while. Before that, I tried my hand on a couple of other businesses that didn't work. I tried coffee farming, it didn't work. I tried some retail shop, it didn't work.
What are you saying about coffee farming?
No, everyone has their own luck. Maybe the timing wasn't right at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
But okay, let me just ask this. So,
yes, sir.
What did you train? What was the beginning of your life like? What did you go to school? Do you have a family?
Yes, I do. I do.
So what's that history that eventually led you to develop a love for business? How did you get to this point? And why pharmaceuticals?
Okay, growing up, my mom is a nurse, and she just retired about 2 years ago.
The ones that used to give injections, eh?
Exactly, PPF and benzathine, and X-Pen, chloroquine.
Let me tell you something, Grace. When we were young, people like your mom would come, then they would pump a stove, put water, then put the injection in the water, boil it.
Exactly.
As the medicine is smelling, and you know what's going to happen next, PPF.
And it had a characteristic smell.
Absolutely, man.
Which I've never forgotten.
You really knew you were sick. Anyway.
You just knew you were cooked.
Okay, so this is where now, your mom was a nurse where?
My mom was a nurse and all over the country. My dad was an administrator, and so he kept getting transferred from one district to the other all over the country. And so we kept hopping around with him. And so wherever she would go, she would get patients and then treat them. Some of them would come at home. And so she would send me to the drug shop to buy the medicine that she would use. And so she would tell me, you know what, when you go, this is 500 shillings. When you bring back, we shall make 2,000. I'm like, whoa, this is very nice.
Talk about early training. Now, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we would do that. Then the one, those days soda was scarce, so we'd go down and buy soda and beer and retail to the neighbors. So if you had a visitor who has just popped by, and you, of course, didn't have a free so you'd send your boy across, give you the bottles, and then would bill you later. So then would go to Chikubo and buy the beer in, just literally carrying the bottles and hide the bottles, hide the stock while transporting it, and then reach home.
You know what that beer was called? It was called beer umubitanda. Because it is to be hidden under the bed.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
So that worked, and it was profitable. Actually, my mom used to give me.
So this is your mom involving you in this business.
Yes.
Your dad is busy being a big man, administrator, and all of that. This is below him. Huh?
Correct.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And so my mom would give me pocket money at the beginning of the holiday and ask me to multiply it by end of holiday.
What?
So that my money is as much. Yeah.
Wow.
She would give it to you and say, you know what? You have a choice. Huh? You can either take this 10K the way it is, or multiply it the way you want and see how much you take.
So your school.
I remember one time.
So your school pocket money was given to you at the beginning of the holiday for you to multiply it and take more than what she had given you back to school.
Correct. Huh? Correct. So one holiday she gave me the money, and I at the end of the holiday I went to. There's a place called Fresh Foods. I don't know whether some of you remember it.
You are my Rio generation now. It was where CJ's is, where Nando's used to be. Is that where you went? Exactly.
Yes.
Where Cafe Pap, that corner. Today it's CJ's on Parliament Avenue and Kampala Road at the corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went there and bought 10 kilos of sugar. Off I went to school, and my dad later on found the receipt in my bedroom and wondered where I had got this money from. I think he's still wondering.
up to today.
Up to today. So I learned how to, use small money and turn it over as much as possible, as fast as possible. Because as a school-going kid, I wanted as much as possible.
So first tell me.
And as fast as possible.
So this 10 kilos of sugar, what was the plan?
1 kilo per week.
What do you mean 1 kilo per week? Drinking it or what?
No, taking, using to, making black tea and in porridge and things like that.
So this was for your consumption?
So, this was for my consumption. Purely for my consumption.
Wow. But you could afford 10 kilos.
So the whole time you would not expect a visitation at all.
Yeah, that's true. Not in our times though. Yeah.
No.
I used to be visited.
You would be lucky.
I used to be visited once a year on Parents' Day. So I know.
Exactly.
Yes. So this training, this already builds in you the aptitude to multiply your money.
Yes.
So let me just.
But also.
Go on.
But also, you had to remain with some money because there was no one picking you from school at the end of the term. So you had to find either a good parent, a kind parent who you would hop behind their pickup and bring you to Kampala, or you jump into a taxi using your own money. So
two lessons were. If I want to be sure that I understand you very well. So you had two lessons here. One, how to make the money.
Yeah.
Two, how to manage your own life and find ways to get back home and things. Is that what you're telling me?
It would be, the parents would be shocked that you are back at home. Say, hey, have you got holiday or you have escaped?
And what would you say?
No, I wasn't a bad guy, having French leaves.
Hey. So
I would be back for holiday.
Yes, go on.
Hello?
Great.
I'm back.
He's coming back on now.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
Did you send someone to the neighbor to buy data for you?
I think so.
Grace, we lost you when you said that you were not a guy who used to take French leave from school. That's where we lost you. So would you mind going back for us from that point on?
Yeah, I used to fear taking French leaves because life at home was really tight. Money was not easy to
Uh-huh.
And my dad had made it clear to me that there would be no second chance.
Okay.
So I knew that others could take French leaves and had connected fathers, but me, if I was expelled from school, did I tell you I went to Musoka College, Mwiri?
Okay, you didn't even tell us where home is.
That's another guy who has to pay our money. Grace, I am the past president of the Mwiri Old Boys Association, and I've never seen your name when it comes to accounts.
You ask Ibembe.
I will follow up.
Okay.
You are with Patrick.
Yes. Patrick was a year ahead of us.
So, Grace, let me ask. Okay, let me take you back. So, where was home for you? Where is home for you?
Home was at Kololo.
Okay, so you lived in Kololo in Kampala.
Yes.
Me, I'm from Kanungu. I have lived everywhere from Kanungu. So, where's home for you?
So I would leave home.
Yeah.
Kololo and go to Mwiri.
Okay.
So I was there 6 years.
Oh, okay. So,
but the smart thing would be to ask a parent, someone's parent, who is taking them back, so that you can hop in a car or just in the back of the pickup. Then you save on the transport.
Oh, because they gave you money for transport, right?
Yes.
But you always found a way to save the money by hiking.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So now you're in school. Did you ever do any business when you were in Mwiri?
No. I did.
There you were just focused on schooling.
On school and school alone.
Okay, so you finish Mwiri, then what next? After 6 years?
I finished Mwiri and I go to Makerere University.
Uh-huh.
There I do one of those things that don't sell to anyone, really.
And what's that?
I do chemistry, 311.
Okay.
I remember one guy telling me, you know what, you've started this course, it's hard, and then secondly, there are no jobs after, so you suffer twice.
When we were on the campus, a chemist was someone who was generally malicious. So,
so it was that bad. So I wanted even to abandon the whole course at some point. I was tempted to abandon it, but I stayed on.
Okay.
So 3 years later, I finished.
Yeah.
Then I got a job with the Makerere Institute of Social Research. I went and did a bit of social research. The guy there who was doing a research, social research to employ me.
Okay.
So I convinced him how I would be the best candidate for his project.
Okay.
So off we went to Chibale for about 4 months, came back. Then I did some odd jobs around, and I got to know that there was some money in pharmacy. So I became a medical rep. A medical rep, one who talks to the doctors to prescribe the medicine that you usually get.
Okay.
So a company called that time it was called SmithKline gave me a job. Yes. So I would move around the country talking to doctors and nurses, interesting them in the medicine that they usually prescribed. Then I realized the people I was selling to were making more money than what I was making.
Yeah.
Then I asked myself, what would it for me to be the other side and be the one who is buying the medicine?
Okay.
So, but I didn't have the money. So the money, I called a friend, and he also didn't have the money. He had a little money. Then I called another friend. So I had 3 other friends, and we became four friends. We put up a pharmacy in Wandegea. So that pharmacy was called Arya's pharmacy.
So you pulled money.
Yes.
Okay.
because none of us could come up with the money. But I remember there was a restaurant next to Frieka Pharmacy currently. That was called Zombo's restaurant. So we'd sit out there and literally dream of a day when we'd have our own pharmacy. Because we checked the traffic entering Frieka, then we said, no, we can do this. And if I know the little I knew then I felt I could do it.
Okay.
Then chance came upon us and a shop became vacant and we paid for it.
Okay.
And we opened our first pharmacy. That was Arya's pharmacy.
Yes.
Yes. Now, Arya's worked.
Yes.
It worked so well. And remember, actually, demand for the medicine far exceeded the supply.
Okay.
And we would literally run around to Frieka drugs because we didn't have enough money to actually stock the pharmacy very well. So we would run around the corner near Absa Bank currently, and then buy and then come sell to the client. In the normal speak, it's called Kuyiriba.
Okay. This is now a real hustle now. Huh?
Yeah. So you would run around the corner and come back and literally control your rate of paying because you didn't want the client to see that you really have been running.
Yes.
Yes.
So because they might as well go to where you're getting it from.
Exactly. They would suspect where you've got it from and then they would be able to go and buy it themselves. So by and large, we grew and then were able to have our own stock, really.
This is from savings now.
Yes.
You are able to generate savings from the sales.
Yes.
Okay.
So capabilities were needed less at that point. But I always felt we could do. And the people I was with were happy to just be, with one location and get some money at the end of the month. So how much have we remained with? You really literally cut it up and then slice it among us.
Then you share.
So you share. But we had quarrels. We disagreed.
Okay.
Us were young, were ambitious. Everyone wanted their voice to be heard.
Everyone wanted boss.
Yes. So we would contradict each other, do the very thing that we agreed not to do. And did we fight? A lot. We fought. Then I decided to sell out.
Okay.
I said, you guys buy me out and I'm done.
Okay.
So they bought me out, left them. Then I went to Kamocha and set up the first Vine Pharmaceuticals then. That was August 1999. Many of the people in the audience may not have been born, I think.
That's true.
Yeah.
Or they didn't even know what a mobile phone was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I set up there. Hard. It was really hard. It was harder than what I thought.
Okay.
It really literally tested my resolve whether I really knew what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe it wasn't a good idea for me to sell out. Maybe things are
but meanwhile, the guys you had left behind are thriving.
Yes, they are thriving.
Okay.
They are thriving. In fact, they went on to form another company and bought buses. So their partnership really, really grew.
Okay.
So I doubted myself at that point, and so I started, hustling again.
Yeah.
So I realized there was medicine in Kigali, Rwanda, and there was no that medicine wasn't available in Uganda. So what I would do, a client would come and say, "Do you have this?" I would say, "No, but we can get it."
Yeah.
Can you get it? I would say, "We'll get it on Wednesday."
Yes.
And he would be like, "Are you sure?" I say, "Yeah." So today's Monday. I get their order, and tonight 4 a.m. I'm on my journey to Kigali.
On what?
So I'll drive.
Wow.
I'll drive to Kigali, and I'm there by midday.
Yes.
And I would load the medicine in the car, drive back. And by 10:30 p.m., I'm in Kampala. Same day. So,
any sleep along the way? What? How about sleep?
I'll come to that. But I did that a couple of times, and we became known as people who can get medicine that is hard to get. Because I knew exactly where to get it from.
Okay. So you establish a reputation as a reliable supplier of rare medicines.
Exactly. Because I would drive across to Kigali, load my feet, and drive back. And by 10 Tuesday, I'm at home. And Wednesday, 8 a.m., it's at the shop.
And you are alone in this driving?
I'm alone, yes.
Okay.
So I did this a couple of times until I started dozing on the way.
Yes.
One day, I dozed about 3 times, and I narrowly missed a truck.
Wow.
A trailer.
Hey.
I remember I prayed to God. I said, God, if you help me reach home, I will never come back. That was the last time I stepped in Kigali. Do you know, I bought water, cold bottles of mineral water, and I would literally pour it on my head, and I would still doze.
Now, let me give you, because I also used to be one of those people who used to drive in the night, in my early days, in my former position. Then I was told 2 things. One, when it gets, first of all, once it's at night and you're dozing, never drive with your windows up. Never. But if it becomes too much, you park the car, first get out and run around the car 10 times.
I tried. Yep. I opened the windows, all the 4 windows. I sang songs to God and still dozed.
But the answer apparently, and this was told to me by a soldier who is a driver, he said, you turn on the AC on your feet and you make it really cold.
For you.
Yeah, you just do it, you put it at the lowest, so it is that it is coldest, but it is only on the feet. You will be awake throughout. Anyway, so you arrive in Kampala, you shut down the Kigali route.
I shut it down, then I start sourcing from South Africa.
Okay.
I flew to Africa and then Dubai. And by the way, all these ventures, I think 3 or 4 of them were loss-making. None of them was profitable.
Okay.
Because I would go and not know where to go exactly, I didn't know which way to turn to.
Yes.
So it established links with nice guys down there in South Africa. After a week there, then we started importing medicine.
Yeah.
Now it was a lot easier. There was no dozing on the road.
You just dozed on the plane.
So we then made enough money, bought a second pharmacy, and a third, and a fourth, and a fifth, and a sixth. And so they were literally, I knew how to negotiate. I knew how to stagger the terms of payment. I knew how hard maybe the seller was against the wall. And so
Sorry, Grace. Grace.
Yeah.
Just please repeat those 3 things. You knew how to what?
Negotiate.
Number 2.
I knew how to stagger payment.
Number 3.
Okay, there's a guy who taught me. He said, agree on price and terms. Give up on one. But don't let the other one take both. So if you agree on, if the guy takes you on price, take them on terms.
Okay.
Yeah. If they take you on terms, then take them on price.
Okay. But never lose both.
Never lose both.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And you said the third one is you always looked at somebody who was really up on the wall.
Yes, I knew what they struggled with.
And so you knew that strengthened your position. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So we acquired a couple of them, and we reached about 20.
20?
Then
Where? In Kampala here?
In Kampala, in Mbarara, we had one, I remember, around Kampala, around Wakiso, Kawempe, literally around.
Okay.
And so at that point, I gave up the roles of hiring and really doing many of the things. And didn't have a solid business model.
Right.
That is a way of bringing something and making sure that it goes through at a higher value and then literally getting money from the client at the end of the day. So then I realized there was a lot of water under the bridge and it was time to pull back.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point...
You were feeling overstretched.
Yes, I was feeling overstretched, but I had to take reign of the company again.
Okay.
Yeah, so I took back the reins of the company and ran it again.
Okay.
Hoping that, I would back on course. I limped on, but it was like a sputtering car that has less fuel. And so, yes, we would make money, but then not enough to sustain us.
Okay.
So I went to the banks, and the banks gave me money. That artificially buoyed me up.
You.
Yes. And so for a while, you'd whistle around and then feel like you know what you're about. And then that still didn't work out. It failed.
Okay.
So I didn't have a system to monitor inventory. I didn't have a system to monitor who is doing what, when they're doing what, the profitability, and all that.
So basically, you had no processes.
Exactly. Thought we had, actually. At that point, we thought we had.
Yes.
So, come, I think, about 2018.
20 what?
2018.
Yes.
You realize this thing is just not working.
Okay.
And it's hard. I remember I used to drive while having lunch in the car.
How would you manage the two?
On one hand, I eat KFC. I drive with my right hand while eating with the left hand.
Wow.
It became extremely hard on me. I would have literally acid reflux in my tummy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because of all the stress.
Yes. At some point, I developed some, I don't know what they were. But long story short, I went and saw a doctor, a cardiologist friend of mine, who me, I was shivering, I was sweating. In one moment, I didn't know what to do. And so I went and saw a cardiologist friend of mine and told me, great problem. The only thing is, take life easy. Exercise more, and have rest. That's it.
Okay.
I came back home and took some days off.
Yes.
And the work I did was take my little daughter to school and eat ice cream and watch other people do what I was doing.
Yes.
To town. I think from that time onwards, I have decided to keep a regular regimen of exercise.
Yes.
Because I could have collapsed and died if I hadn't taken care of my health.
Right.
Meanwhile, the business was bleeding.
Why was it bleeding?
It was bleeding because, you see, the challenge a multiple location organization.
Yes.
Is you have people at headquarters who, for lack of a better word, abuse the people at the shops or at the branches. And the people at the branches, they will show the people at headquarters who the boss is and who adds more value.
Oh, okay.
So the person at headquarters, all they do is get an Excel sheet and change the 3 to 5. And it makes sense, and they'll make the call and say, hey, now your target has moved from 3 to 5.
Wow.
You get. So, so the person at the shop feels frustrated that the person at headquarters doesn't understand
the business.
The business. Yeah. And yet, when you bring in someone at the headquarters, you bring them at a high pay grade.
Yeah.
Hoping that the value they'll add will actually be justified sooner than later.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you go through the valley of shadow of death, and you had better scale so fast, probably to 50 or 80, to make that work.
So what did you do?
So what I did, I set one at headquarters, and then took back the reins again for the second time. When I took back the reins, then I decided to say, look, what is it about the one location that is so good about them? So if you operate one location, decision making is so easy. They are so agile, so customer focused. We would get stock at our headquarters, and it will literally take us 4 days to turn it around to take it to the shops. The person who has one shop will just go to town, buy the stock, and bring it, and it's on the shelf same day. Within, say, 4 hours, it's done. And so that tells me why, the bigger you became, the slower you actually became.
Yes.
And so I want the advantage of big, but I also wanted the flexibility of small.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I told myself, there must be a bridge here. Now, I didn't tell you, 2013, I wanted to a franchise from South Africa. They were called cash converters. So they sell old second-hand things, and they also lend money. So I went down South Africa, did a training about the franchising opportunity. They came all over. They, got some spaces, did the designs, and I just got a premonition not to go ahead. So I canceled the contract immediately. But the principle had remained in me, the way they operate. So I'm like, if cash converters can help me do this in Uganda when they're in South Africa, then what can't we do? So I thought to myself, you know what, this can be done.
Right.
And this can be done. So I looked at it, if you're building this, you build a business model that's multi-sided. Multi-sided means you're going to look at it from the franchisee side, and then also from the franchisor side. And come up with a win-win for both.
Yes.
So I kept, but I had my back against the wall, literally, because every day I was losing money. So I started talking about this, but no one was buying the idea.
Okay. So it was your turn to be on the wall now.
Yes.
Okay.
I was on the wall. And by the way, I didn't tell you that when we reached 36 branches, inevitably I had to close some, right?
Right. Yes.
And I had to sell some. But the people who were buying from me were buying my best.
Okay, not necessarily the poor performers.
No one wanted the poor performers.
Okay.
And so I knew it was a matter of time before, the game is over.
Yes.
Yeah. So I had to first make a decision that I'm no longer selling.
Okay.
I'm no longer selling. And now that I'm no longer selling, then what?
Okay.
What do I do?
Yep.
So I decided to say, okay, fine. To operate as if I'm one branch.
Okay.
Okay. So there's a shop, let's say there's a shop in Chisasi, a pharmacy in Chisasi that works. And so I kept, my mind around that concept that a shop in Chisasi has 2 people or 3 people maximum, and they make money at the end of the month, they have some money left.
Yeah.
So did I tell you my suppliers were up in arms?
Because you were not paying.
Because I was not paying. So no one was supplying me. In fact, the word round was vine with them. Yeah. So I had a car whose windows I had to tint because I didn't want anyone to see me.
Things were that bad.
It was that bad.
So you had hit rock bottom completely.
Yes, completely. I just knew time. Because how many shops can you keep selling of?
You were hiding from your suppliers and your...
Yes, I had to.
Your creditors.
Because I just didn't have any money to pay them.
So how do you turn this around?
I'm coming to that in a minute. So I got all these letters from lawyers,
3 pages in very difficult English.
Correct. Some of them sued me, and it was quite a journey. Right. Very rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I talked to my staff and said, look, we are going down. Meanwhile, I was 3 months behind in payroll.
Okay, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Was there food at home?
I have a good wife.
Yeah.
That's the answer. Yeah.
Okay. Madam, you are listening. We are grateful.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I said, look, we're going to operate one. So I sold the idea to my staff. They bought the idea. Some of them bought it, some of them didn't. And then finally, January 2019, some of them signed up to the concept. So the idea works very simple. What is franchising, really? Franchising is like having an Uber. Okay, so when you get an Uber from Kampala Road to Chisasi, you're literally the owner.
Yeah.
It is leveraging the brand, someone else's asset.
Yeah.
That you don't have, that you don't have access to normally.
It's a brand equity, basically.
Yes, to the benefit of both sides. Really.
So you don't have to build a brand. You just use it. Yeah. And
so I'm reading. There's a guy called Dan Pink. He wrote a book, Drive, and he said 3 things motivate people: autonomy, mastery, and if you give someone autonomy, a level of autonomy, it may be even better than money.
Yeah.
So we set certain rules, certain guardrails really around that, and said, but the rest really, this is it. So look, let's open an account and let's operate it, right? Okay. So I'll guard you from diving for the account and taking money from it, and also guard me from diving for. So let's sign jointly. Yes. Does that sound good? Yep. Yeah. Fair enough. Now, if you run this shop and you make money, can you pay me a small portion of that money? Yes. And can you take the rest? Yes. Does that sound good? Yep. Good. Can you bring some equity on the table so that you have skin in the game?
Yeah.
Yes. Because I don't want to give away just on silver platter. I said yes. So 3 things came up. We said these 3 things sacrosanct. We call them sacrosanct. Just like the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Number one, treat staff very well.
Okay.
Two, be transparent with the money.
Yeah.
Number three, be transparent with the stock.
All right.
So people signed up. We tweaked the business model slowly, small. We hopped along. There was a bit of suspicion on both sides until we realized this thing can work for both sides.
Yeah.
So then the truth, some shops actually recorded improvement of about 80% in sales.
Wow.
The people literally took charge of the shop.
Okay.
And freed me to do a number of things.
Right.
So my role is to see how much value I can add to them, how much ground I can clear for them to run. Yeah. And then create an environment for them to actually win and make more money.
So Grace.
Yes, sir.
This rough journey.
Yeah.
If you were to distill it into a number of principles, life principles that have led you to where you are today.
Yeah.
How many are they and what are those? If you just lay them out for us.
Wow. I thought of that.
Well,
but
look, man, at one point, your
Yeah.
wife was feeding you and you were running away from your creditors.
Yes.
Now you are back in the game and you're flying. So something was right along the way. What was that? You learned things and
Something I would say,
yes.
and I've learned this maybe the very hard way.
Yes.
I would say avoid debt.
Okay.
I know there'll be counter argument.
Yes.
Okay. And I can out argue you on your own counter arguments. You get?
Yeah.
You tell me bad debt, good debt, blah 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 blah. But literally debt exaggerates everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sort of gave you a false impression.
The second one I would think of is marry well. I talked about it earlier.
Yes, I saw it and I laughed to death.
Yes.
Yes.
But jokes aside, you really need a spouse who understands what business is about.
Yes.
As a businessman, you're very irrational.
Yes.
You see a heap of and you say, that's a skyscraper. And someone needs to say, yes, I see it. I see it. But maybe if they laugh, they'll laugh in your absence.
Yes.
When you go out there and get hit,
Yes.
you need someone who will nurse your wounds, feel your frustration.
Yes.
But also who will feel your excitement.
Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes you're excited when it does make sense. The third one would be really, really, really treat people well. You see, we run an open book. Yeah. And I tell my staff, look, if this thing, if we do well, you will do well. My job is to help them that it's possible that they can become franchisees.
Yes.
I instill in each one of them an entrepreneurial mindset.
Yes.
Don't want you to join as a dispenser and leave as a dispenser.
Yes.
In fact, I say, if you're working in Vine, it's the last job you get. Out of here, don't go hopping to another job. Be an employer.
So, Grace.
Yes, sir.
How are things now? Are you still having a tinted car, or you can now
No. Now I can wave. I can wave. I can wave.
Okay.
I can give out my number.
Here you are on Spaces, man. Here you are.
Yes, I am. And
Okay.
it's purely miraculous that I'm here. I can't thank enough. Up more. Thank you so much. If you know, you know. But you see, people are very, very important. They are your multiplier.
Right.
We've since 2019 we've avoided taking new debt, and so what we're doing is paying back the debt that we have with the banks.
Okay.
And you just want to make sure you keep that installment going until one day you'll just be down to zero.
Right.
We've used resources within internal resources, literally. And all our transactions are cash. So we don't even want supplier credit.
You pay up front.
Yeah. What I'm thinking is we are learning to deal and be creative within what we have. The other thing that I would say is that when you do good, people should feel and thank God that you're doing well.
Right. They should celebrate your success.
Yes. So after lockdown, the initial lockdown, we sat around and said, no, people, if we do good, when we do good, people should do good, should do well. Put aside and said, look, we'll create a fund of 1% of our turnover to charity. So 1% of our turnover literally goes to charity, a charity fund, where we think, people should be happy that we exist in a given community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now, Grace, this is the point. I must bring in Otoa because
Yes, sir.
Me and you have been talking for long now. Otoa is a fellow hustler. That man, he went to London. There, he used to roast meat for people. So that's why. Otoa. Tony, are you there?
Hi everyone. It's quite interesting. Grace, your story is amazing. I mean, today I was actually speaking about the lack of authenticity, and I'm so glad that you've used your vulnerability to show us that it's not all rosy, it's the thorns that actually create that beauty. And I know, Robert, you're laughing, but this is what we talk about today.
I am laughing because now I have a different view of tinted glasses in cars.
No, Robert, for you it's another story. Huh? For you it's another story. But I mean, Grace, many people out there, a lot of young people, start up a business. The first 2 years, 3 years, they think they're going to make crazy money. Their projections are way out there. What is it that you would actually explain to them in terms of, going through the process? Because you have gone through a process. We see Vine everywhere. We don't actually see the craziness that you've been through, the hills, the slopes, the valleys, and yet you really epitomize that in your story today. How or what advice would you give a young entrepreneur who's starting up their journey and understanding or creating that understanding that it's not going to be easy? That's the first one.
Yeah.
Then the second one as well is how did you manage to share your time, your hustling time, with your wife? I know you say she's understanding, but if you asked her, or if I asked her, she will not be that understanding. In fact, she might have a different response. She might say, "Oh, your Musa Joyo, he's never home." That kind of thing. How did you manage? How did you manage to balance that? Because you see, there's so many young people as well listening in right now, and trying to balance the hustle with family. Very, very important thing. How did you do that? Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. The young person, I would say what I said earlier on in the morning, that think big, Yep. But start small. Think big, start small. The world is not ending tomorrow. You're 23. There's more life ahead of you than what is behind you. What are you dying for? Take your time. It's like a marriage. You see a couple that has been married, say, 40 years. They don't even have their rings on their fingers, but they look so contented and happy, trying to impress anyone. The issue is, I would think, start small. Show proof of concept. Have people around you who reinforce that kind of thinking, who will help you move up a notch higher. Have people who believe what you believe. Let me give you an example. So we were doing, I have a friend who was doing 3 times our turnover. And he seemed very content and he was running around like I was doing. And I kept asking myself, how does this guy do it? He has 3 times our turnover and he plays, the best I ever did is I went to the tee a couple of times to the range. And I hit the ball in various directions and I've never recovered. So I understood this guy was running every business he has as a single business unit. And to give you just a case, so he would run each unit independently, and at the end of the month, cream off all the cash and literally go back to zero. So you'd cream off like his 6 businesses, all the remaining cash, and everyone starts with zero. So every day is a startup. You're a startup with zero balance. And so I found that very interesting. Now, the second thing I want to maybe tell the young people is find someone you can work with. I find people don't want to work with people. You don't need to work with other people for forever. But at least agree to work with someone as a partnership, maybe for a year or 2. You get. But you not at the first point of disagreement, blacklist someone and mute them and unfollow them and that kind of thing. To, dismiss people. You will have conflict. You will have disagreement. But at least let's agree that between 2021, 2023, we will work together. And we will learn from each other. And I'll give you my all. Then we can always review after 2023. That would be it for the first question. The second question, balance. Balance is a lie. Now that's my view. Balance is a lie. You just cannot be balanced. You have to tell someone, look, for the next 2-3 years, this is what I'm going to do.
Yes.
I am be a bad dad. So that we are able to do this.
Yes.
I ask that you cover me. Unless you're going to steal money. You get. But honestly speaking, balance is very hard and it will just make you feel guilty for free. The best thing you can do is bring back home evidence that you've been working.
Yes.
So when I was high, doing well, I bought my wife a because I didn't want her to, not see me home and then she's suffering on the other hand. I think ought to know and eat of the fruit of your labor. So when they see daddy away, they should be happy that when he comes back, he's going to come back with several goodies. Okay, so that's my feel. It's are you to bring back something home that will show that you have been working, and people are glad, yes, that you go away to work and then come back.
Okay, that's a good way to put it, Grace, because I myself beginning to feel a bit guilty because
Sound is gone.
because I've been doing quite a bit of time. Now, what I'm going to ask you, Grace, is let 3 people ask their questions.
Yep.
And then I'm sure you can write somewhere. So I'll start with Claire Chigozi. Claire Chigozi, can you say what you want to say to Grace? Claire, are you there? So while Claire tries to find herself, Ismail Faida. Okay, Ismail, if you're not there, let me try Echwalu. Echwalu, can you ask your question? Okay, I don't think I'm getting any of these people. Let me try. Can you try and speak? Ask what you want to ask. All these guys have disappeared. Nanziri, Mary, Milan. Wow. Let me see where we're going now. Sorry, Grace, about this.
It's okay.
Let me just see. So I've got the following people. If you can talk. Eve Zaruango. Can you speak? Or Okello David Kiro. Solomon. Tumwesije.
Hi, Rob. I hope you can hear me.
Who is this?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Grace. My
Yes, sir.
My question is, how do you?
Who are you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Solomon Tumwesije here. How do
okay,
you?
Good.
What formula do you use to get out of tinted debt? You know, the kind of debt that gets you to drive in tinted windows. That really got Robo laughing.
Yeah.
Because you don't just read a book and get out of debt. You don't just pray and get out of debt. You have to have some principles that you go by to get out of that kind of debt. And make no mistake, many of us on the hustle are running through this kind of debt, and we keep financing it with more debt and more debt. So what advice would you give to someone who would like to get out of the kind of debt that you have seen and you've been in? Thank you.
Okay, let me ask Anita Owomuchisha. Can you speak? Anita, are you there? Oh, okay. Lois Tusime.
Hello, good evening, and thank you. My question to Grace would be, with all the date and the hustle, why didn't he pull out? What kept him going? Because
who is this? Is this Lois?
This is Lois Tusime, yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, shoot.
Yeah. Can I repeat all that was clear?
It was very clear.
Very clear.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Lois, can you say that again?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just say the question again, please.
Yes, I was asking Grace, with all the date and the kind of deep end he was saying he was getting into, what kept him going? Why didn't he say, I'm pulling out, let me get out of this? Because most times we're in business, and when you see that debt is becoming bigger, you tend to pull out. So what kept him going?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me ask Sanda Lyle Walusimbi. Can we hear you, please? Can you talk, please? Okay, Sanda is looking for his voice. Echwalu, have you found your voice? No. Nanziri, Mary, Milan, or Okello David. Claire Chigozi.
Hello, this is Nancy Mary Milan.
Finally, you found your voice. Tell us.
Yes. Mine is a simple one. Grace talks about telling his employees that this is your last place that you'll be employed. But for those of us that don't have those kinds of bosses, how do you cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset whilst serving your bosses? Yes.
Okay, great. So, Grace, I'm going to ask you to answer those ones, but I must warn all the men on this forum that when you come to ask the question, don't start by telling me that mine is short. Okay, so Grace, let's go.
Okay, Solomon asks about tinted debt. You see,
it has even acquired a name now.
Yeah, branding. 2018. All right. I think it was 11th December 2018 was one of my worst days. So I played debt, and I was taking debt very lightly. So one of the guys who was demanding money from me went and got an auctioneer. And the guys came and swept my headquarters clean.
What do you mean they swept it clean?
They had those letters of attachment.
Okay.
I sank. If you've ever gotten a pit in your tummy, I did. And fast forward, it was really, really hard. Then I realized, look, if I don't style up and pay this thing, this would be the way people will handle me, right? So I put in place a mechanism of sparing some money and making sure every month debt is paid. So let me give you an example. There's a fella who was demanding 46 million from me, right? And so he called me, we sat down, he said, look, I want this money in 2 installments. I told him it's not possible. Then he said, okay, 6 installments, maximum 10 installments. I told him it's not possible. So he told me he was going to call the police and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I wrote him a check of 1 million and gave it to him. He abused me. But so far, about 24 months in, I am paying him 1 million per month.
Is he still abusing you?
No. No. Now he wants even us to work together and then trade.
Okay.
The issue is, but we no longer want any debt anyway. The issue is, at some point you have to face your own demon. Know that this thing you have dug up was not, you took time creating this problem. And so it's time getting out of this mess you're in. But you also want to be a good testimony to your children and say, look, I got in trouble, but I came out.
Right.
So what story do you want to tell at the end of your life anyway? At the end of the day?
Yes.
Do you want to say, I got into debt, I ran away, went to Kenya? Okay? Or do you want to say, look, you saw it, and now I am paying it back, slowly by slowly. Please be patient. You know what is around.
Yes.
So I would say, look, it is the story you want to tell later. The real legacy you want to leave with your children and those around you and those you work with. My staff know exactly how indebted we were. And for me, it should be that I inspire them that it is not the end of the world, but to get out of this thing. Slowly, we will finally get out. Not easy, you get? Not
but
easy.
At least you're climbing.
Yes. Occasionally, you can delay by 10 days and the person comes and says, I'm sitting here, I'm not leaving. So you get those humps in life. There's a lady who asked, why not pull out? this is what I think. This is what I think. That if I have 50 employees I work with, each of them looks after 7 people. Those are 350 people directly affected. They may be small numbers, but the dreams and aspirations of these people are literally crushed. Their parents, some of them support their parents. Those dreams are crushed. So what I decided to do is this. I said, look, can we work together? Let me give you an example that I really hope. And you can ask anyone who works in Vine Pharmacy and they'll tell you. So we wanted stock and we didn't have money. So I told them, you know what? If you have money, pull into this, let's do crowdfunding. And they pulled together, with just small savings, we pulled together 12 million. 12 million were able to bring the stock in and share some profit. So the point is this, if this thing works, we will all win. And so I am telling you, I'm being vulnerable, there's no money. So I have a deal here, we can do this thing together, and if this thing turns, it will turn a profit, and we'll share the profit. So you have your car, 500K on your account, bring it, we'll work with it, and we'll give you a more than fair return. So for me to face the same people and say, we've closed, is really, it would be unkind of me at the end of the day. So I just feel that if the worst came to the worst, people can bring in some little money to resuscitate the business for now, and then we can be able to pay it back to them. So that we have done, and that you can do. The entrepreneurial mindset, how do you encourage people to have an entrepreneurial mindset? The leadership of that company, of that organization, has to want to have an entrepreneurial mindset. Or the simplest I would say is quit that place, find a place that tickles, that has an entrepreneurial mindset. If you have the entrepreneurial itch in you, then find somewhere where it will be scratched and where it will be nurtured and watered and grown. If the place you are at is not doing that, then quit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Timothy or Tim, PhD. Timothy, what do you want to ask Grace?
Thank you so much, Robert, for giving me this opportunity. My name is Timothy Otim, and I'm calling from Germany. I have been listening. Yeah, I've been listening to the show for the past 1 week.
You are like my friend Jackie, your lawyer.
So,
yes, go on.
yes, my question is, Grace, what things would you do differently? I mean, if you were to restart the business again.
Okay. Let me also now bring in McLean Mujizi.
Thank you so much, Robo.
Okay.
The voice is for a male because I am using my wife's phone and we are listening in together. We always listen in together to the 40-day mentor since the beginning.
Can she say something so that we can believe you?
Yes, she can say hello, Robert.
I want to hear.
Hello, Mr. Kabushenga.
Okay, now I believe you. Okay, now the husband of...
Yeah, that's my wife, and we always listen in together. So, Robert, 2 questions from us as a couple. Yes. One, we want to ask Mr. Grace Munyirwa on 2 specific things, because we own a wine shop in Ichitintale.
Okay.
And one thing we want to ask Mr. Munyirwa is the 4 P's of marketing. That's product, place, position. We want to ask him about positioning for Vine Pharmaceuticals, because usually we see that pharmacy in very competitive places where it is so difficult to find a location, or where rent is high, or where it's not easy to find brokerage to access a space. How does he usually manage to have those prestigious places to put business? Then the second question is about franchising. We own a business which has only one spot, and we always think about franchising. At what level should we think about franchising? Is it when we feel we are making so much profit, or even when we are not making profit, we can think about franchising? Thank you, Robert.
Right. Anita Owomucha, have you managed to get your connection?
Yes.
Wow.
Hello?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Very well. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Hello, Robert. Thank you very much. And Grace, thank you very much for sharing with us. Anita, and I'm a small business owner. So, Grace, you alluded to, okay, you encouraged us to form partnerships and generally to work with people. So, I think one of my greatest fears is having to deal with people and involving people in decision making for something that I personally birthed. And so I just need to know from you how, okay, I know there are some benefits that come with partnering with people. So for you in Vine Pharmacy, at a certain point, if you partnered with people, and let me say you say maybe after 3 years we can work for 3 years, and after 3 years we will stop there. And so looking at the numbers, if after 3 years you actually haven't returned what you committed to give the person after 3 years, how would you handle such a scenario? Yet someone has invested in almost a lot of resources, time and money and everything in the business. Yes, that's basically what I wanted to ask.
Thank you, Anita. Sanda Lyle Walusimbi. Sanda. We've lost Sanda, I think. Okay. So, Grace, why don't you take those and answer them?
Okay, let me start with the last one. People investing in you and what you do, and should you invest with people or not? This would be my take on that. Let people invest in you for now and participate in the thing. Now, when you have a dormant investor, they get fertile imaginations of how the money is getting multiplied in their head. So someone gives you 10 million, they imagine by end of month it is 20. And by end of the year it will be 50. Allow them to participate. And let them be, if you're going to run a small, let's say salon, let them also report to work. Because they so believe in the venture.
Yes.
Because you see, the thing is, for instance, who could tell COVID and its effects? So when you have someone just away, they know so many things that are not true. Secondly, if there are any deviations, then there's course correction immediately or in the short run. Yes. So they don't feel you know, the day you buy a new watch, all the money is going. The day you change the car, their money has gone.
Has been stolen.
Correct. So I would think that they shouldn't just give you money to invest and then you're giving them a return after 2 years. They should be participants in the game, at least initially.
Right.
Then they can graduate to be passive, but when they know exactly. Secondly, what are they coming to do? If it is just capital, then maybe there are other ways you can get capital. They should be able to bring connections. They should be able to bring a certain level of skill and be aware of what is happening in the business. That would be my take. So there's a couple that asked about how do you get good spots. Good spot for nothing is for free. You want a spot on Kampala Road, you'll pay someone to get it.
Yes.
Yeah, as simple as that. They don't land. They don't land on people's laps.
Correct.
Yeah.
They also asked about when do you make the decision to franchise?
When do you make the decision to franchise? You need to have like a model shop and more than one location. Then you're able to say, because you see with the franchising, you're having three things at play. One, you're saying, Robert, I am going to, you're becoming a franchisee. So you're going to pay me, they call it entrance fee, they call it joining fee, whatever fee they call it. So you're going to give me a one-off payment. And that can range between 5 and 10 and 20 and 50 million.
Yeah.
Right? For the right to start participating in this game. And this is non-refundable. Okay? Secondly, to give me ongoing fees. Ongoing monthly fees as a percentage of your revenue. So why should I give you a fee? You're going to show that it's still profitable for you even after you've paid me. And at a certain point, it's going to actually make more sense for you. There's like an inflection point that you reach, beyond which you're up to meet more money. So yes, there's going to be a bit of a drag between certain ranges of money, yes, but beyond that, the ball is in your court. You make as much money as you want.
Right.
Yes.
And there was
at the end of the day, it is profitable. It is good for us, both of us, that this business lives. And you don't forget the guardrails you put around it.
Yes.
Even your own ego should be checked. Your own temptation to derail this whole venture should be checked.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was Timothy's question. Timothy Otim, PhD. He's in Germany. He's waiting for you to answer.
But what would I do differently?
Yes.
I think I would, like I've said, I would avoid debt. 2, I would empower people much earlier. And literally franchise from the word go. And say, look, this thing is good for us. And if we win, we all win and we all participate. Yeah.
So, Grace.
Yes, sir.
Baganda say that Mbozi Tebankade. In other words, the conversation doesn't grow old.
Yeah.
So I always make sure that we're finished by 8:30 because that's the time when people need to get their lives back. We don't want to keep them on spaces for too long. You can see there are people who are couples listening as couples. They need to go back to stock. They do things of adults. So now I want to thank you very much.
Yeah.
But before we wind up, I want to tell the guys that tomorrow, the person who is mentoring us is somebody called Audrey Dralega. Audrey Dralega will be mentoring us tomorrow. Audrey Dralega is an educator. So I will be talking to her so that she can tell you, in this tough time, a lot of you are facing challenges on how do you deal with your children right now? How do you make sure that in all of this, they can still do some learning? What is your role as a parent in all of this? But also, I will want to ask her, what new business opportunities have now come up as a result of all these changes in education? Is there something people can innovate and make money? Or are there new approaches that people can take advantage of in this time? So Audrey Dralega will be mentoring us tomorrow. And on Wednesday, I have another lady. I won't say who it is, but I will tell you tomorrow after Audrey's session. So Grace.
Yes, sir.
Man, what a day and what kind of dynamic responses have we had. So it's really, I don't know. I think I want to thank you for the dynamism, but also to echo what Tony said earlier, for you to be so frank and honest with your trying times, with your vulnerability, and showing people that actually this thing has its difficulties, but the point is to carry through with it in ways. So Grace, thank you so much for spending your time with us here, mentoring us through these times.
Thank you, Robert, for the opportunity, and thank you for all your time and creating this space where we can talk about business and help other people get on their feet and not be discouraged. Thank you so much. God bless you.
And I look forward to talking to you while you abandoned coffee.
No problem.
I also want to thank Tony Otoa.
Yeah.
And I want to also thank David Kanje, who puts all this together in text. Please go and follow his blog, davidkanje.com. I think that's what it is. He'll share the link himself. But also Spaces Podcast, who do the audios as well. And as I said, you can also go to my YouTube page. Don't forget, next Saturday, not this one, the Saturday after, Tony Otoa will be doing a public speaking class. So just make sure you don't miss that opportunity. Otherwise, everyone else, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And it's good night from Kampala.